Obviously, pretty good storms out there and everything. How did that affect your preparation today, and what were y'all able to get
we
done?
got about a third in on the field, which we wanted to be outside all day today, and unfortunately got sent in with lightning. I don't even know what time it was. I would say 1:30 of practice. We had about a 2-hour practice, and we went in about a third of the way through, so we got to get most of it in out there. But when we went inside, it was no issue. So we transitioned easy in there, and we had red area today, and that made it even easier because when you do red area, you don't use as much of the field. So we have 2 ends to the indoor, and that was fine.
Kirby, I'm sure it's kind of a new sensation for the freshmen that are working on scout team this week. Just generally, how have they kind of, stood up and accepted that challenge of running on scout team?
Well, it's a culture here that we create through years of doing it. It's not a freshman thing. It's a team thing, and it's so many guys embrace it. I mean, we've had Sonny Michelle and Nick Chubb go down there and work Wildcat. We've had countless guys go down there and work, and we show them clips of whether it's Miko Hardman, Holyfield, Isaiah Wilson. I mean, you name it. I don't think there's been a player here that didn't. Last year, George Pickens was on the scout team for 3 weeks. So it's not seen as a promotion of any kind. It's seen as a development, and we take pride in developing players. And the best way to develop is to go down there. JT Daniels did it while he was injured and came back from it. So they've been great. They do a good job of pushing and understanding the kind of culture of how practice goes of competing.
Kirby, Dan was talking about just life in general as a coach, wake up in the middle of the night during the season, being regular, pregame routine, multiple bathroom stops, darkness. What's your pregame routine, and what is it like managing your life on those few hours you have away from football during the season?
I don't know that I really have a pregame ritual or routine. I think if you get a superstitious habit, you might not be able to follow it all the time. You have different venues you play in, different times you play. I mean, everything changes. So I like to be flexible and adjustable, and it's not always the same. I mean, we eat pregame meal at the same time, but outside of that, I try to change it up in terms of what I think about when I do pregame. There's a checklist you go through, but I heard Adam Wainwright talking the other night, and the pitcher for the Cards, and he was talking about how if you got something that you just can't break, that's superstition, and that can be a negative. That can be a detriment to your mindset, and we try not to do that. So we don't go with superstitions. We just try to prepare ourselves best we can to get ready to play before the game.
About sleeping soundly, though, you ever catch yourself waking up in the middle of the night?
Yeah, I've been that way since I was a small child. I mean, I think everybody wakes up in the middle of the night sometimes, and sometimes you're thinking about football, sometimes you're thinking about how you can do it better, how you can be a better parent, husband, father. So, yeah, that happens.
Robert Beal got a lot of playing time at the end of last season after Adam Anderson's suspension. How do you think that extended run has sort of helped him going into the start of this season? Yeah,
it's built his confidence up. I think he's very confident in the system now. We're very confident in him because of the playing time he's earned. He did a tremendous job at the end of the year. He's had a really good camp. I mean, he's playing physical, playing tough. I think he realizes this is a big opportunity for him. So I'm very pleased with what he's done, the work he's done.
As Javon Billiard heads into his sophomore year, he played cornerback for 4 years at Baldwin and then kind of crossover receiver. But where does he really fit in this defensive backs group, and what's been his progression since he's gotten here?
Well, he has tremendous toughness. He has tremendous competitiveness. He's very physical. He loves the game. He's been a ball hawk all camp for us. The consummate team player that does whatever you want him to do on special teams, and he comes to work every day. And he's improved. He probably could have played more last year, but maybe he wasn't quite ready. And he's earned it through spring practice and fall camp. He's earned the opportunity to go out there and compete with those other guys and get playing time.
Kirby has been a pretty smooth operation with the new co-defensive coordinators, and will Glenn stay in the box and he'll be on the field?
We'll decide that closer to the game, so both those guys will be very involved.
Yeah, this is really the first time in his career that Dominic Blaylock has had a normal fall camp. How do you think that has helped him, especially going back into Mercedes-Benz Stadium and can play a role for you guys this year?
You know, I don't think he thinks about normal fall camp. You know, he's day by day giving his best effort and making our team better. He competes every day. He's another guy that just works so hard. You know, I don't think he overanalyzes it and again thinks about superstitious things. Those are things he can't control. What he does control is how hard he works for us, how consistent he plays, and his toughness is kind of takes on a personality for our offense of being a guy that doesn't ever complain.
Stetson made a comment the other day. He was talking about how tough it was to throw against Keely Ringo in practice when y'all go ones-on-ones. What kind of camp has he had? And, you know, obviously with, you know, the fame he got last year, have you seen him keep that compartmentalized and continue the progression you're looking for?
Yeah, I think Keely's done a great job. You know, you worry about a play like that, you know, going to a guy's head or maybe not realizing his deficiencies and how he can improve them. And we had several talks in the off season, and he embraced it. You know, he was the first to admit, like, no, I'm not. You know, I'm not where I need to be. I mean, he had some plays in that game that weren't so good, and he admitted that. He said, I can improve, and that's what I want to do. And you know, he's been a leader. He's been an everyday work guy, and I'm expecting him to have a great season because of the work he's put in. You know, he's worked really hard to be a good player.
Yeah, I guess following up on Keely, what does your mindset look like as a coach when you've got a guy who, like Chip said, had a huge play, got a lot of things, has a long way to go? How do you, I guess, one, praise what he has done, but two, let him know that he's still got a long way to go?
You're just honest with him. I mean, be honest with him. He'd be the first to admit that. I mean, the play doesn't define the player, you know. And I think so many people and the fans, they want to do that, but he can't let that do that to him. Otherwise, he's limiting himself to plateauing where he is, and he can still ascend. You know, he's a young player. He's only really played 2 years of football with us, so he has a lot of things he can improve on, and he's worked really hard on them. He's gotten so much better with his tackling and his physicality, and he continues to improve on that.
Kirby, you obviously had a lot of experience at Alabama turning the page after a championship. This past year's championship was, you know, different. It's 41 years in the making. How'd you balance the program, you appreciating what was done with also not dwelling on it and having the same turn the page mentality?
I think the experiences there helped me because I don't see it that different. You know, I mean, we won one in 2009. And I don't know when the previous one was there. It certainly was 40 years, but it was not recent. So I think anytime you win one, you turn the page, and it's built around the culture of your program. If your program's just built on instant gratification and wins and patting people on the back, then you're probably going to struggle more. But it just was never about that here. It's been about the process of how you develop players, how hard you work. It's never been about telling guys how good they are, but yet telling guys how good we can be. And that's, since we've come back from that game, we turned the page and focused on it. The distraction's been more outward in terms of media and that stuff, not inward in terms of what our team thinks about. They're not thinking about last year. They realize that this year's going to be done and based on its own merit.
I think it was 1992 on Bama. Stalin there. On Eric Gilbert, he's obviously been a guy you brought a long way. Is he close to where you want him to be, where he needs to be going into the season?
I know it's hard to measure because I think sky's the limit in terms of his talent and things. But the consistency and performance he has to have consistency in practice and dependability. That's something that he continues to work on and strive on. I know nobody wants it any more than he does.
Kirby, Oregon's wide receiver core obviously lost some of the top guys and some of the younger guys and now have more prominent roles. How much does it help that Brian's been in practice with them the last couple of years to kind of fill you in on a little bit personnel-wise what they have?
You know, I don't know. Sometimes they can be good and bad. Maybe you know too much. Maybe same way with Dan. He knows a lot about our guys. So players change, players get better, players grow up. Maybe they're not the same person they were. I don't like taking information like that and making assumptions off of it. Certainly, get personnel and talk about guys, but you watch the film speaks much louder than what a coach's comments are, and we put a lot more value on that big eye in the sky than we do just what people say about players.